Hey guys, and welcome to week 4. So once again, another very standard week. I hope you're having a good week 3. Week 3 was the beginning of our DB team lead. So we had a couple of individuals working together to to sort of monitor the discussion board and add insight and ask questions and answer questions. So week 4 will have the same thing going on. And once again, I just want to remind you that if you are looking to see what week you are assigned, you will want to follow the instructions in the document detailing how to find out what team/week you are in. And if you go to the DB team lead module, you'll be able to see, or the DB lead module if it's called that, you'll want to check out that document and see how to locate your group. And the name of your group is actually the week that your team is assigned. So we're coming up to week 4. Each week I'm letting those individuals know that their task is coming up the Thursday before. And once again, these modules for the next week, for the coming week, load the Friday and the prior week. So just wanted to remind you about that. Check out what week you're in so you can plan accordingly. Now week 4 due date's about the same, except we do have a quiz this week, due Monday. Again, you can do these things earlier, but these are the absolute due dates for those. Excuse me. So this week, our discussion board is an interesting one. It's called Socially Acceptable Dating Ages, and it's based upon an article that details what, I don't even know where this convention comes from, honestly, but it's a convention that some psychologist or a group of psychologists has come up with for what they consider, or what society, at least in the United States, considers to be socially acceptable dating ages. So it's an interesting article, and even more so, it presents some mathematical ideas that correspond to constant rate of change. So you'll discuss those, and you'll be able to discuss rate of change and vertical intercept in the context of a very, I think, compelling problem, something that most of us have at some point faced in our lives or will face in our lives in the future. So hopefully you find this discussion board as interesting as I did creating it. So the content for this week is wrapping up the idea of linear functions. We'll be focusing on linear regression. Linear regression, in a nutshell, is a way to basically take a set of data, and oftentimes data points do not fall along a straight line. In mathematics, we typically study them as falling along a straight line, right? But data points tend to be clustered. So if you collect something such as based upon someone's age, you look at their income, right? So you can't always say that a person of a certain age makes an exact income, right? Because I'm sure you know people who are the same age as you and aren't making the same money annually as you are. And so one of the things that we often do look out for is trends, right? A trend is sort of a way to describe what's going on in that data set in a nutshell. And so in this case, we kind of see that those data points, while they're a bit scattered, we can basically encircle them with an ellipse or an elliptical type shape that seems to represent that if we were to draw a line down the center, it would kind of create a line of best fit. So even though data isn't perfectly linear, but we believe that the trend is linear, so the trend can be linear if the data points appear to be having this sort of constant trend. But if you saw data points like this, right? So now we kind of see some curvature in the data point. So our ellipse might look more like that, and we immediately begin to say, you know what? The data actually appear to be increasing at a faster and faster rate as the age increases. Anyway, so we'll be focusing just on linear regression. There are many types of regression analyses, but this is just one of them. The content also will cover introduction to exponential functions, because the idea of exponential and linear kind of tied together, but the way that the y value changes for each incremental value of x for exponential functions is slightly different than for linear functions. So, exponential, when people use the phrase, oh, that's growing exponentially, what they really mean to say is it's growing very rapidly, but, in terms of mathematically speaking, you'll now be able to correct them and say, well, it's really not growing exponentially, but it is growing pretty fast. Or you'll be able to say, yeah, you know what, that's perfectly exponential, and here's why. The discussion board, because we have a team lead, and the DB team lead video to wrap up the discussion board is due on Sunday, I will post my wrap-up. We'll have 2 wrap-ups. We'll have a wrap-up by the group that was leading the discussion board and a video by me to kind of give you my perspective. And I think it's very, very important that you view both because, of course, I'm a mathematician. I've been doing this for a while, so you'll see my typical spiel. But it's also very beneficial for you to see how other people within a group are approaching problems, because the reality is there's many ways to solve a problem, and that's not just true in mathematics, that's true obviously in life in general. And so I think it's important to see different perspectives. Anyway, so both of those will be up on Sunday, my wrap up and the team's wrap up. So have a great week 4. Hopefully you're enjoying the course, and as always, if you have any questions or problems, reach out to me. All right, take care. See you in the next discussion board.